back after a horrendous shellacking at UFC 105 to do my UFC 106 picks, undercard picks as usual in the sidebar. Apparently my hair is not being its usual uncooperative self. Alright, main card, we start with Frabricio versus Dustin Hazlett. Big Hazlett fan, don't like Caro. That being said, you look at the skills that are in this match, neither guy is particularly an adept striker. Parisian's got the edge on power. I think Hazlett's got the edge on technique and speed. But the edge on wrestling, or in this case judo, goes probably definitely to Caro. Caro dictates where this fight goes. Hazlett's got an excellent ground game, but Caro's never been submitted, and he's dealt with some very good ground games of his own. The problem for Hazlett comes is that he's a bit of a no man's land in terms of weight classes. He can't make 155 comfortably, but at the same time he's quite small at 170. Quite tall, but quite small. He's going to have a very hard time when Caro gets on top of him. I don't know. You know, the X factor is Caro has had some big mental problems lately. If he has something like that, we could see Hazlett pull off the upset, but I got to go Caro via unanimous decision. Next, we got the debut of Little Nog, Antonio Rogerio Nogueira versus Luis Alberto Kane. Luis Kane is the better all-around striker, although Nogueira is the better boxer. Nogueira is a better BJJ guy. He's incredibly tough. Everything that can be said about Big Nog can pretty much be said about Little Nog. Little Nog probably takes this fight because, despite the fact that Luis Alberto Kane is by no means deficient on the ground, I think at some point this fight hits the ground and you don't want to go there with a Nog. I think Nog will tap him. I'm going to say in the second round because I think it'll take that long to get Kane a little bit tired and worn down. Amir Sadala versus New York badass Phil Baroni. Don't like the fact that Baroni is back. He has a terrible record, as most people would know. I really think this is a fight that they want Amir Sadala to win, and Sadala's the more well-rounded fighter. He's got a way better ground game. He's the better all-around striker, although Baroni probably has the faster, more powerful hands, which could be telling. We saw Sadala have a lot of problems with Johnny Hendricks' power. Could Baroni do the same thing? I would say it's pretty possible, but Baroni doesn't have the greatest of cardio. He is probably the better wrestler in this fight because Sadala's never shown much of an ability to defend the takedown or get the takedown. But I gotta take Sadala. The Hendricks fight somewhat skewed a lot of people's view of him, but we saw in the Matt Brown fight, we saw in the Steve Burns fight, Gerald Harris, and both CB Dalloway fights that when he is he's a tough guy. He's very hard to finish, and some would say that Hendricks really didn't even finish him. So you got to think that, you know, at some point he's going to get an opening against Baroni, because Baroni is the type of fighter to give him that opening with his suspect cardio, suspect ground game. Probably submits him because he doesn't seem to really have the great knockout power that would be required to take out Baroni, who does have a pretty good chin. So I'm going to go with Amir Sadala via tap out, late second to early third round. That's going to be my call on that. Next we have Josh Koscheck, Anthony Rumble Johnson in a fight that has title implications because the winner maybe moves into the #1 contender position after Dan Hardy. Definitely if it's Anthony Johnson. If it's Koscheck, it's a little more questionable. It's going to depend on when Alves fights next and when John Fitch fights next, because Fitch was not overly impressive in his fight with Paulo Thiago. Nonetheless, Rumble Johnson he's a very good wrestler. He's a very good striker, has a lot of knockout power. The key thing about him is he doesn't make weight a lot of the time, which is very discouraging from the standpoint of a guy who's going to be possibly fighting for the title in his next fight. Maybe 2 fights if he wins this fight against Koscheck. He's got the striking edge over Koscheck. Koscheck's got, you know, decent striking, but it's very predictable. Both have good power, but Johnson's got the advantage there. He's also the faster striker. He's the more technical striker. On the wrestling front, Koscheck's got the advantage. On the ground part, I think Koscheck definitely has the advantage. I think that's actually even better than his wrestling advantages, his ability to grapple. As long as he doesn't get put on his back. This is an interesting fight for Johnson because it's the first time we're going to see him fight someone who I think can comfortably take him down. We haven't seen that. Like Clemente got him down, but it really it wasn't very comfortable. He out wrestled the likes of Kevin Burns. Yoshida, of course, didn't even get a chance. Fioravanti couldn't take him down. He completely destroyed Chad Reiner way back when. But the problem is he's going to be relying on a knockout of Koscheck, which can be done. I mean, he did get finished by Paulo Thiago, stunningly enough, so it can be done. Koscheck's got to stay away from this idea that he's a striker and he has to give the fans what they want, which is a striking match. This has been the problem I have with these people who only enjoy striking matches. You're putting pressure on a fighter to be exciting to you and losing the fight, which means money out of their pocket. I've always had a problem with that. I've never had a problem with someone being less than exciting to get the win that they need. And this is basically the approach I want to see Koscheck take. I want to see him go out there. He's going to have to set up the takedown with striking, so he's going to have to stand with Johnson for a bit, but then take him down. I would like to see him be aggressive on the ground, which is something that would keep this fight from being even a little bit dull. I think would be him working for a submission or ground and pound. I don't think you can ground and pound Johnson, just because of the strength of Johnson and also the fact that, you know, strikers are hard to ground and pound, actually, because they're used to taking punishment. The more likely scenario will be a submission, but I don't think that'll happen either. I will go with Koscheck via unanimous decision. If he fights smart. If he fights dumb, you know, Johnson will probably knock him out. If he fights like he did against Alves, you know, that's problems. Moving on to the main event of the evening, the second encounter between Tito the Huntington Beach Bad Boy Ortiz and Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin's coming off 2 devastating losses, particularly the Anderson Silva fight where he looked just terrible. His Rosholt fight, he was winning up until he got stopped. Tito's coming back to the UFC after a long layoff. He's really supposed to fight Mark Coleman, which was an interesting fight. This is an interesting fight for different reasons. I think Forrest Griffin is the better fighter, but where is Forrest Griffin mentally at this point? Additionally, when they fought the first time, Tito won, and it was a bad Tito. That's something you got to remember, is that was a Tito Ortiz that was definitely not his most healthy moment. Tito is supposedly healthy now, and a healthy Tito I think is scary for Forrest, because Forrest doesn't have the greatest takedown defense. Tito's never really had a problem with, you know, people submitting him when he gets on top of them. I don't think anyone has. Guy Mesgear submitted him. It was either Mesgear or Frank Shamrock that submitted him with a guillotine, but that was after he got tired. If he brings cardio, he should win this fight by unanimous decision, even though Forrest presents a much more dangerous striker. Although he doesn't really have the KO power, which is something that, you know, kind of keeps that from being a massive factor, is though he can outpoint Tito on the feet, I don't think he has the power to finish Tito. Tito takes him down, Tito holds him down, works the ground and pound. Forrest better be looking not to get stopped this fight. He's got to come up with at least a strong outing, even if it is a loss. If it is a loss, he may get cut with 3 straight losses. I wouldn't think so, because it's a huge marketability thing with Forrest still that Strikeforce could possibly use. Then again, they cut Josh Neer and brought back Phil Baroni. So who they cut and who they keep has been somewhat of a mystery to me for a while. That's the card, though. It's not the greatest card. I think I'm actually going to end up missing this card just due to money circumstances at the moment. I don't really have the cash to spend on it. But if I see it, I'll come back with a review, and it should be a reasonably good night of fights. I mean, these are by no means walk-through fights, except maybe the Carl Hazlett one. But and it does shape some future title contenders, because I mean, the winner of Forrest Tito, that's going to be a title contender down the road. The winner of Hazlett Carl is a definite title contender in the very much now. As is Rumble Johnson versus Koscheck. So that's all. Also, Little Dog's debut, War Dog.